Another earthquake shakes Lincoln tonight, the biggest one since July. Security costs more than the speaker when a white nationalist shows up on campus in Florida today. And the damaged Sperry Chalet is braced for the harsh Glacier Park winter.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Jill Valley. Dennis Bragg is off tonight. In a decision handed down just moments ago, Montana's Commissioner of Political Practices, Jeffrey Mangan, says there is sufficient evidence to suggest the Lisa Tripke for Mayor campaign violated campaign practice laws. This comes in a complaint filed by Ellie Hill, a Montana state lawmaker from Missoula. In his ruling, the commissioner says the Tripke campaign violated campaign finance laws by filing incomplete and inaccurate campaign finance reports. The next step in the case, he says, is to determine whether or not any fines will be imposed or charges filed against the campaign. We'll have much more on this tomorrow as we continue to sort through tonight's ruling. Tripke is running against incumbent Mayor John Engen in the November 7th election. A 4.2 magnitude earthquake shook Lincoln earlier this afternoon. Now it's a story that's becoming almost routine for that small town lately. MTM's Jacob Fuhrer was there tonight with more on today's quake.
The town of Lincoln is no stranger to being shaken up by these earthquakes, especially after a 5.8 magnitude hit back in July. But this earthquake is the strongest one since those aftershocks from that big quake. Thursday's quake clocked in at a 4.2 magnitude at around 4:18 p.m. On October 15th, there were two earthquakes in Lincoln, a 3.9 and a 3.4, and there have been 97 earthquakes greater than a 2.5 since July 6th, and 721 quakes greater than a 1.0. However, every resident I spoke with today said they didn't feel a thing. Perhaps they're just used to it, as Montana is one of the most seismically active states in the U.S. Reporting from Lincoln, Jacob Fuhrer, MTN News.
And there are no reports of any damage or injury. The earthquake was reportedly felt as far away as Whitefish. And this quake happened on the Great Montana Shakeout Day, which is a day that's a statewide earthquake drill that happens on this day every year in the morning. Well, turning now to weather, I hope you got out to enjoy the day because some big changes are moving in for the weekend. Here is meteorologist Aaron Yost with the first forecast. Aaron.
Yeah, today's warmth was pretty impressive. 74 degrees for our official high at the Missoula Airport. That is a new daily record high, and it's the 9th latest 70-degree high that we have seen on record in the Missoula area. So it was toasty out there. We did get some sunshine along with it, not as much as I had expected, but we will start to see things getting a little bit more active here as we head into the next couple of days. And by that, we've got a couple of cold fronts headed our way, one of which going to move through tomorrow with some scattered mountain snow and valley rain, but a bigger, steadier surge of moisture expected Saturday afternoon into Monday morning. More details on the way.
A registered sex offender faces new charges after he was arrested this morning by Lake County Sheriff's officials. They arrested 49-year-old Scott David Curry of Big Fork on 3 counts of felony sexual assault on somebody under the age of 16. Lake County Undersheriff Ben Wood says a report was made to the sheriff's office earlier this month regarding allegations of sexual assault. Curry was arrested by deputies this morning following an investigation. He is behind bars in Polson tonight. Records show Curry was sentenced on 2 counts of sex with a minor back in 1994 in California. A Billings woman who admitted she beat and helped dismember her boyfriend 2 years ago will spend the next 40 years in prison. 41-year-old Carrie Stansoverbull was sentenced in Yellowstone County District Court this week. She pled guilty in July to the lesser charges of negligent homicide, assault, and tampering with evidence in connection to the death of her boyfriend, Jeffrey Hewitt. Investigators determined Hewitt was badly beaten by multiple people in Stansoverbull's apartment in Billings. He was left immobilized, suffering on a mattress for several days until he died. Authorities say Stansoverbull then asked her relatives for help destroying the body. His remains were found in pieces a month later in a burn pile in Pryor, and that launched this investigation. Stansoverbull first denied any involvement, but later said she assaulted Hewitt because he abused her. Prosecutors say other people involved could be charged in the future. Patrick Stansoverbull recently admitted he helped destroy evidence, including Hewitt's body, and he will be sentenced this December. The day ended peacefully on the University of Florida campus where part-time Whitefish resident and prominent white nationalist Richard Spencer spoke before a small crowd. Police were ready, though, just in case, after an earlier speech by Spencer on a different college campus turned violent. Hannah Doba is on campus with the latest.
Go home, Spencer! Go home, Spencer! Protesters took over the speech by white nationalist Richard Spencer, many cursing at him, holding their fist in the air and chanting. Most of Spencer's supporters occupied the front rows and cheered him as he tried to take control of the half-filled auditorium at the University of Florida. At one point, police held a man back from the stage, while others in riot gear readied themselves in the balconies.
You think that you shut me down? Well, you didn't. You actually even failed at your own game.
Spencer took some questions from the audience, but continued to be heckled. Outside the venue, hundreds of protesters gathered.
We don't want him here. We don't want to hear him speak.
Since he's here, we're going to be here too.
Spencer rented the space for a little less than $11,000, but security is costing Florida taxpayers $600,000.
Ahead of the event, the state of Florida declared a state of emergency to make sure they had enough law enforcement officials on hand to keep the peace and prevent the deadly protests that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia in August. Anna Doba, CBS News, Gainesville, Florida.
The burned Sperry Chalet in Glacier Park is braced for the winter now after crews got the mason walls shored up. The Sprague fire badly damaged that building in late August. The fire gutted the old dormitory, destroying the roof and the floors. A 10-person crew along with helicopters took up dozens and dozens of heavy beams to stabilize the walls so that they won't topple when heavy winter snows and winds push in. Crews also braced the gables, the windows, and the chimneys. In the spring, the park will assess how the structure weathered the winter and will decide how best to fix this historic and iconic chalet. Now, the trail to Sperry Chalet is impassable, as are other trails in the Sprague fire area. Nearly 2,000 trees fell across those trails because of the Sprague fire, and the park believes another 1,000 trees may come down this winter. So that's going to be another huge park project this spring to clear that up and make the trails safe. The Flathead DNRC says there hasn't been much fire activity over the last 24 hours on the 4 fires that are burning tonight in the Flathead Valley. The 4 fires were human caused, but they were fueled by those big gusty winds Tuesday night. The biggest of the 4 fires is the lower Twin Fire burning north of McGregor Lake. It's about 675 acres, caused by a slash pile. The Deer Run fire near Foy's Lake has burned 38 acres. It's 75% contained. A slash pile that got out of control in the winds is also to blame for this one. 2 other human-caused fires are just 2 acres, but they're completely contained. Teachers from around the state of Montana are switching roles and doing some learning of their own this week for the Montana Educators Conference. MTN's Don Fisher shows us what it offers for our state's teachers.
Big Sky High School and C.S. Porter Middle School in Missoula played host to the conference this year, and teachers I spoke with say they get a ton out of it.
Everything just doesn't stay the same all the time in education. New tools, new techniques. It exposes them to classroom management skills, better ways to improve student education, students with special needs, pretty much in any area, at least specific to education.
More than 2,000 Montana teachers and paraprofessionals are spending 2 days this week fine-tuning their skills while also learning about evolving resources and technology available to help student growth. Rose Keller is a school counselor in Anaconda. This is her 15th year in education, and despite her experience, she says she still gains plenty from attending these conferences.
You can get whatever you want out of it. There's lots of sectionals offered, from math to science to English, school counseling, behavior. So there's lots to be learned and lots of different vendors to pick up new materials, and no matter what you're teaching, no matter what your vocation in education is, there's something here for everyone.
The conference is put on by the MEA-MFT, Montana's Union for K-12 teachers and other public employees. Through the 2 days, teachers are able to get the professional development they need to renew their teaching licenses as required by state law. But Ryan says what's equally important is bouncing ideas off her peers.
So it's very beneficial, and you take those tactics and put them in your classroom, and you can see the growth in the students. At least the ones I've taken, they've been completely successful. It's been amazing, so I enjoy it a lot.
In Missoula, Don Fisher, MTN News.
That conference is put on with the help of volunteers made up of mostly local teachers who put in hundreds of hours to make sure this event runs smoothly. Well, you better find the umbrella, maybe make a paper boat. Big rain is on the way. Meteorologist Aaron Yost has the forecast ahead. Also, a Billings trucking company is preparing to transport a very special Kootenai National Forest tree to the nation's capital. And we go inside the State Public Health Lab where they have the flu virus in their sights. That's still ahead here on MTN.